I joined the society in 1968. We came to Orwis in 1967, and the children were young. The youngest was 4, and Sarah would be about 5 then, and I just wanted something else, something to do. I'd never had anything to do with drama, but I've always been a lover of books, poetry, English and reading. And I was only at school ever, I was always had these most ghastly parts, like a tree, or always hidden behind someone else. I never really shone. And I saw an advert, which may have been put in by Audrey Hall, and at the post office, the little box at the post office, saying there was a drama group and they were obviously after, people to join. And it was at the village hall upstairs. So there must have been something in me that wanted to do it, because I came home and said to Don when he came home from work, told him, and then sort of on the due date, I promptly went upstairs to the village hall. Didn't know a soul except for, I have a photograph here, of Bill Williams. Bill and Irene Williams lived eventually in the little cottage that's by the, Cotton Close, is it? There's a little cottage there, isn't there? And they live there. And we used to have a babysitter because Don always worked hard and we wanted to go, have a relax. So we'd have a babysitter and go out. And I only knew Bill Williams from the pub, the George and Dragon, 'cause it's where we always used to go. And I went up the stairs in the top room, as you know, and a sea of faces looked at me when I opened the door. I didn't have the confidence then that I've got now, because I think that comes with age. And I went in, and luckily Bill Williams looked at me and he went, "Oh, hello, come in and welcome." And he promptly then started to smash, those wooden chairs that are collapsible, collapsible. I may have told you this before. He then promptly continued to smash it with his foot, because there used to be a fireplace there. Opposite the window was a fireplace, and there was a fire burning. And he smashed his chair up and he threw this on the fire because the fire was burning low. Anyway, suffice to say, they were reading a comedy. I didn't know anything about play readings or stages or proscenium arches or anything of this kind. And they just sort of asked me to read. Well, whilst I was there, other people were reading. So I just followed suit, and read and whatever. And they must have been desperate, because before I left the village hall, they said, "Right, you got the part of a person named Lily White in a play called What's Hatching." Shall I show you a photograph?
Show me afterwards,
okay,
when we've done the interview.
Okay,
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine and
So
dandy.
tell me about that play. What was it about, and what was your part?
It was a comedy, and I had a comedy part. I mean, the name Lily White, and sort of one look at my face, and they probably thought, well, she'll do. Little did I know that obviously they were desperate for people, and it didn't go down too well, because I did have a cutting, but I can't find it. And in the Mercury, which was, the lung used, whatever they call it, it said, "What's hatching? The egg was certainly off." So it wasn't very well done, this play, Nothing like the standard that we have today. But
So can you remember what was the hall like then, and what the facilities that you had for lights and all sorts of things? How did it
Nothing
operate?
like there are now. That's much improved. And in fact, the stage was at the other end, I may have told you before, was at the other end of the hall. And I can remember Don and Brian Hall had this, I don't know what you call it now, great big sort of thing, like a trolley jack or something, but a huge one. And we helped to move it to the other end, because where the stage is now, there were doors that opened out. And I think that they were altering the kitchen and whatever. Anyway, what did you say afterwards?
No, what was it like acting on the stage down the bottom end?
Well, more or less, you know, same. He just sort of came through a couple of doors, and then I was in Sweeney Todd the barber. And do you remember Quinton Fairclough? Yes, I remember Quinton. And I remember I had the part of a man, Monsieur Jean Parmin, famous dealer in lapidary stones, isn't it? Famous lapidary something, and I would sort of sit like this with a beard and moustache. And I was terrified that they were. I said, well, I'm not going to fall back in the chair. I'm not falling back in the barber's chair. You just have to do something. In my naivety, I said, can't you draw a curtain over the stage when I'm supposed to have gone back, and then I'll just get out of the chair? He said, you're falling back. So they had a mattress at the back, and he literally got in the chair and I was tipped over. So, happy days.
What other memorable productions have you been in over the years?
Did bits in. It was a good production, that was. Toad of Toad Hall. I think one of the memorables that I wasn't in but I prompted in was at the church, A Man for All Seasons. That was fantastic. I don't know really.
How has the society changed over the years since you've been there, do you think?
I hope this isn't, well, I'm going to say to anybody's chagrin, but it's friendlier now. There was you've got to remember, I was a lot younger. What was I? Sarah was, I was 24, and I had Sarah was, I would be about 28. And it was all new to me. And there was a little bit of prima donna that I recognised quite a few years later, but I was so naive to it at the beginning, and I just thought, oh, I don't like her, or I'd come home, or I don't like him, or, oh, it's a funny remark to make. And I didn't realise that some of it was banter, because I'd been so involved just in bringing my children. They were close together, you say. I had 3 under 5, you say, so they were close together. And everything really revolved about my family, and I was sort of happy to do that, because I'd always wanted children. I was quite happy to do that. And so this was quite a different. I liked it, but there was. It's a nicer society now. Minds are much broader, and we embrace so many different people and cultures, and I don't know, it's just happier. I wouldn't have stayed with it otherwise. I've known other societies that have broken up because of prima donnas that have upset certain people, but thankfully sort of I can sort of come home and forget that and just do my own thing.
Are there any particular characters that you remember who part of the drama society? I'm thinking of people like John Colston and Bob Fuchs at one time. Can you remember about them?
Yes, remember. I remember. John Colston. He was funny. He was really, really good. What's the one with? Oh, I can't remember now. What's the one with a handbag? Oh
yes.
I was.
Importance of being
Yes, and I was Miss Prism to his Dr. Chasuble, and it was one of the first times we'd sort of walked from as it is now, the back entrance of the hall up to where the stage is now, and I would always be, instead of coming through the door with him, if the doors weren't open, I'd make a noise and he'd turn round and I was supposed to be simpering, like saying, oh yes, Dr. Chasuble, I think Emily will do very well, Dr. Chasuble. And all this, and he used to say, she would do very well if you could ever remember to be behind me in time. I was always, I don't know what was the matter, I must have been messing about or didn't have my mind on things, and yes, good fun. I expect there's thousands of things that I really can't remember, I'm a lot older now,
No, that's fine.
Well, I was about 28 and now 75, so...
I mean, are there any other stories that you can remember about any sort of funny happenings? Or...
Yeah, I can remember John Colston was directing a play. I can't remember what it was, and there was a chap in it, a teacher, who was sort of came and went. And Barbara Greenhalgh made some cardboard buckles and covered them with foil, which was supposed to go on this chap's shoes, obviously, hence me saying buckles. And he couldn't get he was supposed to come through French double door, no, not French window, I think they were just double doors, right at the back of the set, when we paint the wall. And this chap had to do this entrance about 9 times. And when he finally came on, he'd got these buckles pinned to his outfit. And I can't tell you what John Colston said, but it doesn't, once anybody starts laughing, and Barbara, beloved Barbara, she would sort of nudge me and she'd said, "What the ... What's he done with her? Was he supposed to be on his ... shoes, God, all hell broke loose because she just fell about laughing, And oh yeah, well, this doesn't happen now in our society, but telephones ringing, after the person has picked it up. Lots of times like that, some people, well, all gone now from the society, just sort of didn't take it quite so serious. If I was told to do a thing, I actually did it, and I tried to do it correctly, but some just didn't care, and they said, "Oh, well, we'll do that again." They'd say, "Do you realise you're taking up a valuable, rehearsal time?" It's people who didn't think beyond themselves, and there must be thousands of things.
Can you think of any particular favourite productions, either that you've been in or that the Society's done over the years?
We did The Wizard of Oz. I like that. I was Aunt Em in that, and a Munchkin. See, I get all the good roles. Aunt Em and a Munchkin. I should have thought this out, shouldn't I? No, not really. Little Women. I liked being in that. That was nice. Just so many. I should have thought this out and wrote them all down.
That's okay.
Sorry about that.
The thing is, if you want to do it again, if you want to have a think about it, you've got plenty of time to do other things again. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Because often what I would have done